Name him lights now. Don't count the chickens before they're hatched.
Spanky, Darla, Buckwheat, and the king of crooners, Alfalfa. Who can forget those faces? In the 1950s, the Our Gang film comedies aired on television under the name The Little Rascals. It's easy to see what made the series such a hit. Child stars seemed playful, innocent, and carefree.
Yeah, but appearances can be deceiving, especially when it came to Alfalfa. Off-screen, this rascal more resembled a pint-sized Dirty Harry than the boy next door. And when Alfalfa outgrew his on-screen appeal, his hot-tempered desperation proved fatal.
And Alfie, apparently, they said, pulled a knife, and the guy shot him.
The way that he died was not a surprise to me because he kind of lived on the edge all his life anyway.
On this episode of Mysteries and Scandals, we'll reveal the mayhem Alfalfa caused on the set and the volatile reactions he ignited.
He liked to play jokes on people, and frankly, none of us thought it was very funny.
Alfalfa was causing trouble as usual, and Sidney killed the cameras and called Alfalfa over and said to him, when you turn 21, I'm going to get into a cab and find you and beat the shit out of you.
And we'll look inside the Our Gang clubhouse at some of the kids' more private antics.
Little Porky had opened up his trousers and he was holding his genitals. Very lovely.
I'm A.J. Benza. Join me as we explore the devilish, dark, and dangerous ways of Alfalfa and Our Gang, the Little Rascals. In 1921, Hollywood movie producer Hal Roach wanted to create a new kind of film series, one that would be wholesome yet bold and honest. Then one day he looks out his window across the railroad tracks and he sees a group of kids fighting over a stick. Divine inspiration. Richard Bann is the co-author of The Little Rascals, The Life and Times of Our Gang.
He thought, I wonder if I could make a film or two out of this. The idea of life from a kid's angle, real kids doing real things. And from that experience sprang what became the Our Gang comedies.
Originally produced as a series of silent short feature films in 1922, the Our Gang movies pitted the troublemaker against the sissy and the rich kid against the bully. The goal of each child was to have fun, and of course, to make it through the episode without getting pounded.
The idea behind the series, according to Hal Roach, was real kids doing real things. That's what he wanted to capture, and that's what he got.
The series became even more popular in the 1930s with the advent of sound. But as the original cast members grew older, they had to be replaced by fresh faces. Hal Roach set out to find some kids with attitude, and in 1932, he found Tommy Bond to play Butch.
I got my interview with Mr. Roach. He only asked 2 questions. He said, tell me, Tommy, he says, can you look mean? I said, yeah. He said, you like to fight? I said, yeah. He says, the casting director, hire him. That was it.
In 1934, Sidney Kibrick was cast as a little rascal called Woim.
And I was working as an extra. I was basically asked to do a particular scene. They liked it. And from there, I think that they wanted me to become Butch's sidekick, Woim. And that's how I got the job.
Jerry Tucker was featured in 18 Our Gang films.
I played this nasty little rich kid that comes into town with the fire engine. And he takes the pretty girl for a ride.
By 1935, other familiar faces in Our Gang included Spanky, Darla, Stymie, Buckwheat, Porky, and Pete the Pup. That year, another young boy was added to the cast. His character was named Alfalfa.
His family was from Illinois. And I think they were from the hills of Illinois, because I don't think they wore shoes until they came to California.
Born Carl Dean Schweitzer in Paris, Illinois on August 8, 1927, Alfalfa was destined to be in pictures, at least according to his mother. On a family trip to Los Angeles in 1935, Carl's parents were determined to get their 7-year-old son noticed.
They went to Hal Roach Studios on Washington Boulevard, and they couldn't get in. However, the Our Gang Cafe, which was the studio commissary, was just outside the gate, and it was open to the public at lunch. So Alfalfa and his brother Harold and their family went in there and began to perform, and they were signed that day. and worked into the first picture, Beginner's Luck. So overnight, Alfalfa was really a star in this series. He had this sprig of hair, and he did this bug-eyed double take, and he had the trick singing voice.
I'm the barber of Seville.
And that was the funny thing about Alfie, too. He said, what are they laughing at me for, Tom, when I sing? He said, do I sound that bad? I said, no. I said, it's not your voice, it's your facial expressions. So he thought he was singing good. And I wanted him to think that. Because, you know, it's kind of a downer if everybody's laughing at you because you're singing sour notes.
I'm going to take my voice where it will be appreciated.
In 1938, after 16 years producing the series, Hal Roach sold the entire Our Gang comedy, concept, cast, and crew, to MGM. Director George Sidney recalls how the new studio officials were quick to make changes.
One day they came rushing down. They said, you got to redo yesterday's work. They said, you had the black boy standing next to a white girl. What? They won't allow it. I said, all right, I'll do something about it. But I didn't just change their positions. I changed the entire scene because I wasn't going to have a lovely boy, as Bill Thomas, 9 years old, be told they had to reshoot something on account of that.
As far as the Rascals were concerned, they were all the same, especially when it came to their craft.
We were children who were under contract, and even at that very early age, you understood that this cost the studio a lot of money, and you just had to do what they told you to do. Most of us were pretty good kids.
There was, however, one exception.
And with Alfalfa, he just did his own thing. Sometimes when the director would say, Alfalfa, you're wanted on the set, they couldn't find him. People kind of leaned over backwards for his antics.
And when it came to causing trouble, this kid was a real